If I want to talk about the culinary part of it, is where we all come together on jollof rice and chicken. Well, this has been a great time. Nigeria is now 64, if I'm not mistaken. And what it has mean, I think we've been independently from, we've gained our independence from our colonial masters, but the financial aspect of it is what we need to fight. And what this day means to me is there's still hope since we're still breathing. Once there's life, there's hope. So I think we have to keep pushing the narrative and be able to. This time is our time. We've heard the famous phrase, "the we are the future leaders of tomorrow," and then you back it up. When is that tomorrow coming? But I think what it means, I think we can rephrase that. To me, I can rephrase it to your future is now. Your future is when you have finally find your purpose and your role in the community and what you you see what your purpose is. So this Independence Day is what I will wish for Nigeria. Usually other platforms always talk about problems and never the solutions. So at this point, I just want to use this opportunity and this platform to actually drive the narrative. And you can see from logo out there is Wazobia. This is coming together. Everything, all that word is saying, different tribe and different languages is Wazobia. We have the three major languages, but it's all encompassing all the minorities all coming together because nobody is
All
above
the
everybody.
all
Huh?
the little layers.
All the tribes is all this is a summary of what is encompass us, so we can use our unity as a strength. This is Wazobia United, unity, unified form of it, and we are anchoring this through sports to build a platform to share our stories and be able to give voices to the voiceless and be able to see what we can do when we come together, because I don't think we've been given opportunity where we can join forces, fight for one basic enemy. And that's what I hope us moving for us to push the needle. And this is, I think it came at a perfect time for us to actually unite and bring our experiences, our stories, and form one big unity. So at this point, I'll just pass it up to Bobby. My video is still messed up, but in time, we're gonna start seeing my beautiful face. I know everyone's wondering. So, well, my name is Jesse. So, all right. I think we have Bobby right on the map, Bobby on the track. All right, you
I
can
go by
take
the
it.
name Bobby, but I think we're here today to talk about independence, day of is it Nigeria or whatever. But it's just a time for us to reflect on the struggles and the fight our forefathers put in to make sure we have our freedoms from our colonial masters. And it's been 64 years. That's a long time, bro, for a lot of things to change. It seems like it has gotten worse. So we were supposed to be building. I don't know. We have leaders that should be doing great things, looking for the next available or bringing people together to build the future Nigeria. But like, we don't have those leaders. I don't even like to destroy or castigate these leaders because we all know and we keep voting the same calibers of people in. Like, what are we doing? When are we going to get that change we seek? Is a question we are asking. Why do we keep voting the same leaders in? But guess every Nigerians will have to sit down and ask themselves questions because we keep doing this. The next and next and next generation will keep following the footstep of these leaders because there's no change, there's no accountability. Just go sit down, talk about little things, pack the money, go house. So Nigeria is not changing. No. That's why we are here. If it's a good place, you all know we all want to like go back and do something for our people or fight for their right. But which right do you have? They abuse every right. So I don't think a lot of people even care about the Independence Day. It's just ordinary day for them. Independence Day is for people in government sharing the cake. If the cake no reach you, just go sit down for one corner. So that's my take for now. So let's hear Mr. Okot.
Nigeria is 64 years old. In a way, that's very young for a country. And in another way, it's pretty old, right? A lot of the democracies that we see around the world are close to 100 plus years old, if not more. Well, done a lot of things wrong as a country. And we can sit down here and talk about all of the things that we've done wrong. In my own opinion, I think we've let the worst among us rule us since independence. And it doesn't mean we don't have people in Nigeria that can actually do something to benefit the country. But this is a form of independent dependence, right? Nigeria is extremely dependent on most of the powerhouses in the world for everything. And we don't even print our own currency. Even the army, or the form of defense that we have, we don't have weapons, ammunition that we make for them. So, what kind of independence can you preserve? What can you claim as being independent of when you don't have control over your own economy, your own resources, your own government? So we understand the power of independence because, for example, in the U.S., they celebrate their independence in such a manner because they had to fight for their
For
freedom in a way of speaking.
yeah,
And one can sit down and claim and say we fought for our own independence in a different manner. Because I'm not going to take away from the idea of founding fathers, supposedly the Tafa Balewas, the Amado Bellos, the Sadanas, and all of these guys that came out from the Royal Academy and of the military Royal Academy to come and rule us. But I think so far it's been a failed experiment in a manner of speaking, because for every step that we took forward, we took almost 10 plus backwards. And if we're going to look at at Nigeria from a historical viewpoint, you can see the level of regression economically, morally, socially, educationally, in all areas. We can't really sit down and point to one single industry that or one thing that has worked so far. And that's where we come in as young people in Nigeria, supposedly young people, because we're raised under the notion of the future leaders of tomorrow, but that tomorrow probably hasn't come. And in my own experience and observation, I think this is a worldwide issue where the octogenarians, octogenarians clung onto power. And this is not just in government. You can talk about that in workplaces. The golden boomer generation have refused to retire and hand over to the younger generation. And that's just a trend that has permeated to all aspects of our life. But back to Nigeria, we have a very rich culture, we have a very rich heritage, and don't let anyone fool you. And Nigeria did not exist before 1960. We're just celebrating the name, right? But we as a people have existed long before that. And I don't want to diminish the cultural heritage and values of a people just because the name was attributed to them in 1960 or 1914 when we amalgamated the protectorates.
the
But
southern and the north.
yes, but on a positive light, I feel like the still, despite the damage, despite the neglect, despite the squalor and poverty and just mismanagement, there's still something to look forward to because we have four individuals here from different geopolitical zones in Nigeria talking
Yeah,
about trying to find solutions. And just that in itself is a strong positive because I feel like at some point, not to be like the prophet of doom or something, but these individuals, the Tinubus of our world, the Abdul Salams, the Obasanjos, they're not going to be here anymore. And it's going
no,
to rest on us
yeah,
to come up with something. People that we know, people that we've shared something with in our
yeah,
age group. And just being able to come out and talk about solutions like, hey, I feel like if we run our economy in this manner, because we have individuals that run the World Bank, you can't
yeah,
tell me that somebody that ran the World Bank, the vice president, cannot come up with suitable economical solutions for Nigeria. But the challenge is adhering to them, having a long-term vision for the country, because this is what we've always felt that we always tend to see the short-term vision, but we want to be able to project the next 20, 30 years, next 40, 50 years, and be like, all right, this is where we need to be, and we're going to have to do everything in our power to get to that point. And it starts from having a strong economy, being able to process your own resources in your own country. Because if you, for example, you sell say eggs, right? You don't take those chickens, put them in a friend's place and let them lay eggs, and you pick up the eggs and then you want to go sell to that friend. That's ridiculous. That's reverse business right there. So being able to control your own economy starts from manufacturing, some form of industrialization, because that will create jobs for the locals. You can have companies like Julius Berger come from Germany, and they're not even ranked the first 100 company in Germany to do construction, and we give them all of these government contracts for free. So
Yeah.
things like that, those are giant missteps. You can't tell me you have four refineries in the country and not one is operational. And then one of the indigenes of the country called Aliko Dangote goes and builds his own personal private refinery and we refuse to give him the crude oil to refine. You can't tell me that somebody like Innocent is there making automobiles for the country and the government is not jumping on. The government is not the number one buyer of his
Mm.
automobiles. Doesn't make any sense to me because if the government doesn't endorse you as a Nigerian, who will? So these are small things. These are just talking about small things. These are small things that we can correct just right
Mm.
off the back and see tremendous improvement. Because say, for example, let me take Innocent for example. If the government were to be like, all right, Innocent, make us all of these cars for government officials, right?
Mm-hmm.
In just that contract alone will create so many jobs. Will open up a different sector. We can now be like, all right, we've done this. It's not up to the power that we want, but we're making it for ourselves. And that
Mm-hmm.
would give him so much more resource to expand and do something else. And I can say that about Aliko Dangote. I can say the same about what's his name, the Globacom guy. Adenuga say that about there's a handful of individuals out there doing crazy stuff, and these are just the popular ones that we know of.
Mm-hmm.
But you see Nigerians all over the world. They're enterprising. They're doing amazing things all over the world. And a lot of us in the diaspora just want an avenue where we can either go back and offer our expertise or send money back to invest in something. And you can only do that when there is some form of stability. I could go on and on, but I just thought I'd offer some of these pointers. But I think I see Emeka joined us. It's good to see you, Mr. Enikwamadu.
All right,
Thank
Emeka, you're all right. Welcome in,
well,
Emeka.
well, well,
So what's your thoughts about independence? Turning
well, first of
64.
all, I want to say
What do
shout
you
out
have?
to my parents. It's their
Okay.
birthday today, so I want to wish
Oh,
them
Happy
both
birthday
happy
to our
birthday.
parents.
shoot.
So
Oh,
October is
All right.
actually a nice month. It's a glorious month for my household, and it's also one I celebrate as a Nigerian. As Okot said, we celebrate a name today, but as a people, we've been there long enough. And I was talking to my father the other day, and there was something he said in my adage. He said, once an old man picks up a young boy's toy and holds it up, if his hand starts hurting him, he will eventually drop it.
All
And
right.
at this point,
Oh,
we're hoping that the hands of those guys are beginning to hurt them. As I could say,
yeah.
he's not being a prophet of doom, but they can't hold us ransom for so long.
Yeah.
That's the thing I enjoy about when I go around and see Nigerians. I live in Colorado, and the mayor of our city is Nigerian. You go to New York, you see the mayors of other states are Nigerians. If other countries can trust our youth to govern them and bring something better out of them, why can't our own country do the same about us? Leaders of tomorrow. But I think it's about time the youth of our country actually mobilize themselves and take this thing from whoever is holding it. Because you can't just play this petty game all along. They've been betting us, we've been betting them. It's time to call a spade. You've held this country so long and you've done bad to it. Let's take it our own way. Regardless of, there's going to be consequences. I'm not here trying to propose violence or anything, but sometimes that's the price to pay for the liberation of something you love. You've got to fight for it. And I think most we Nigerians have sat down so long and just endured this thing. That's how I'm suffering and smiling. And it's 2024 and we're still suffering and smiling. Yeah, we're religious folks, and that's something that's been affecting us. They know that we all gonna say, "Oh, well, it's the way God wants it." Some of us will say that. Some of us will say peace is better, but peace is not always the way. And I'm saying this right now: Nigerians have to turn a new leaf. We have to follow these people the same way they're following us. They ain't got a heart towards us. They don't have a heart towards our nation. So it's about time we judge them with the same standard they're throwing onto us. And stop letting this peace and God is going to judge. God, the heaven is the Lord, and the earth he has given to us. So this is our own place. We are the gods of this place. So let's take ownership of what belongs to us. It's rightfully our country. At 65, whatever.
Yeah.
I like
Yeah,
I like
looking,
that rage. That is the rage that we need as youth because it's ridiculous. Most of
Exactly.
us in foreign lands for what? Because our country refuses to get its act together.
We ask ourselves that question so many times. We remember when we all came. We were like 10 of us that came into this country. I go to my job sometimes and I see over like 20 Nigerians in the same unit serving the United States Army. And I'm like, is it because we can't first? And our whole country as a whole don't have over 2 million people in their whole army. A country that has over 200 and something million people cannot boast of 2 million soldiers. Because even if you try to join the military, you have to know somebody that
You have
knows
to know
somebody
somebody. Yes.
and pay somebody to put your life down to fight for your own country.
yeah, but why do you think that happens though? But because this the nepotism, like
To get to where you think or where you can make better choices. Because when you get in there and you're not part of the clan, you begin to influence that clan in a different direction.
because I
And
don't
that's
think
just what it's going to be.
we've ever talked about how what the advantages and the disadvantages of that. Like how you're expected to use them, but
Yep.
what are advantages of that, and then what are the disadvantages of that? Because what
The
we've been
advantages
having,
is you can count on that person. Like right now, I count on Josie to do a certain thing. I can count on Abdul to do a certain thing. I can count on those people right here to do a certain thing. But if I find out that somebody from outside can come in and do something better, it's just common sense to let him try. But we've come to a point where we don't think that we can include outside people to prosper us. Even if the guy you're choosing for that job sucks at it, you just want to keep him there for the sake of it. And I could tell you this, it is because this is not their personal business. Because I don't think Tinubu will hire somebody that doesn't know shit to run his own personal business. He will hire somebody who's professional enough. But when it comes to running the affairs of a nation, he hires somebody who is his father's closest friend. This man hired a 32-year-old graduate to run what? The commerce industry in Nigeria. The guy just graduated as the university. Never had a job a day in his life.
I mean, I would say, look,
Yes, giving youth a chance. I acknowledge giving youth a chance. But the only reason why there is no other 40-year-old guy running an industry. But you got a 32-year-old guy because he's your godson.
It's not about the age, right? It's about the experience. It's a very sensitive position. I mean, back to nepotism. Nigeria's issues are multifaceted, right? Nepotism is just one arm of the rotten chicken, right? There's nepotism, there's some form of tribalism, there's some religious bigotry, there's all kinds of problems there. And the first solution, I would say, is being able to identify these problems and where they are expressed the most, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I can see very clearly that I'm going to as an example, don't quote me on this. Will interact with you differently than he would do with somebody that speaks the same language that he does, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And an example, because you can say that about all the tribes in Nigeria.
I was born in the north, but I couldn't attend college in the north because my name does not start with something that's familiar.
Identify these problems and what it the nation as a whole, what it does to affect the individuals in that nation. Then you start to understand that, okay, well, now we actually drop projections and say, this is what step, and this is how it affects country as a whole. Because this is more than one individual. This is more than one person's emotion. As a group of people, we keep the same thing and expecting a different outcome is crazy.
My only problem is this. It feels like it's gone so deep that this rot is going to take so much to cut out. Because even children being born yesterday and today, they're already seeing the pattern.
But children are simply a product of the environment. You can easily correct that by changing the environment, right? I mean, it remove these rotten pieces from that idea. You start to see a better picture. And obviously, Nigeria didn't become what it overnight. It took time. So it's going to take the same amount of time to fix it. But we need to get on the right path. But Jesse, you said we have 1 minute to finalize this stuff, and then we're going to something else.
Yeah, we're going on. But yeah, I mean, I spend so much time as like a little bit.
We can hear you, Jesse.
Yeah.
Oh, can you say